This is Southern Cross News with Rachel Williams.
Good evening, everyone. The Premier has admitted the current state of our hospital is not good enough and reaffirmed his commitment to overhauling our embattled health system. Addressing the second day of the annual Liberal Party State Council, he said demand for our health services is outstripping supply and more work's needed to address the current challenges.
Spruiking his government in front of the party faithful, the Premier pledging to improve our struggling hospital as his top priority.
That demand for services is also escalating and it's outstripping supply. The physical capacity in our hospitals and our health facilities.
On day 2 of the annual Liberal Party State Council in Hobart, the Premier said the number of patients waiting in our emergency departments had increased by around 7,000 people a year. The news follows recent horror stories of patients sleeping on hospital floors, day-long waits in the ED and critical underfunding.
We know it's not good enough. It's a challenge we accept responsibility for, and we will respond to the additional demand where we can.
The Premier made his speech here at Blunston Arena, also reaffirming the government's commitment to infrastructure spending as population growth puts increased demand on our services.
As our state grows, we are surely feeling some pressure points right across our community. So we need to keep pace and we literally need to build Tasmania's future.
Turning to other issues, members discussed bicycle riders on our streets, calling for riders to be forced to register to ride on the road and to have a number plate and insurance. Also unanimously agreeing to ensure radical gender ideology such as the Safe Schools program was not taught in our schools, saying it was harmful and at odds with science.
Introducing contested gender theory under the guise of an anti-bullying program is an abuse of the power of that authority.
But as with everything voted on at the conference, the government does not have to commit to the policy. Michelle Wisby, Southern Cross News.
Labor has accused Health Minister Michael Ferguson of withholding details about the state's new surgical termination service. Tasmania's only abortion clinic closed in January, forcing women to travel interstate for the procedure. In July, the state government announced a new clinic would open this month, but Labor says the government is stalling on the details.
As far as I can see, there is no contract currently signed. So once again, this minister has done whatever he can to delay the process to ensure that women are discriminated against effectively in having to travel to the mainland to access this legal health service.
On Thursday, Mr Ferguson said the service was still on track to open this month. A 400-strong crowd has laced up in Launceston to shine a light on Australia's #1 killer. Heart disease affects 1 in 6 people around Australia, and One Tasmanian Foundation is doing what it can to raise money for the research fight.
A wall of runners prepares for a race against disease. It was clear blue skies for those circling UTAS Stadium, part of a 5-kilometre challenge raising awareness for heart disease. For some it was a serious sprint, but for others it was just about survival.
I went along to a doctor a couple of months ago and just sort of asked the question about sort of my health in general. I ride a lot, swim a lot.
Despite those efforts, he was diagnosed with a serious genetic heart condition. Now his message is this:
just go and get a health check. I thought I was doing really well, but it turns out no, there is genetics and bits and pieces in play.
Those too tiny to run or walk had help reaching the finish line.
Zach was born with a heart condition, so we're walking to raise awareness for heart kids and our little Zachy.
Youngsters still doing their bit for the cause. Go! Now in its 11th year, the day raises much-needed research funds for the Clifford Craig Foundation.
The reason why we have Run and Walk for Your Heart is to educate the community and get them involved in better heart health, making better choices, especially on the first day of daylight savings.
Sean McComish, Southern Cross News.
Hundreds of dogs and their owners have gathered in Hobart today to celebrate the 13th annual Dogs Day Out. The day featuring a number of hotly contested competitions, eager participants putting their best paw forward to win awards for waggiest tail, best dressed and dog that looks most like its owner, while other dogs sat back and enjoyed a day in the sun.
everybody who comes along, even if they don't have a dog, has a wonderful time. It doesn't take long to get happy when you're surrounded by happy dogs.
The Clarence City Council event also featured an agility course and food and information stalls for dog owners.
Meantime, the Tasmanian Tigers have fought back from an early batting collapse in Sydney overnight to book a spot in the JLT One-Day Cup final. After dismissing Queensland for 177, Matthew Wade went for a duck, with fellow opener Ben McDermott gone for 14. George Bailey and Simon Malenko picking up the pieces with 70 and 57 runs not out to guide the Tigers to a 6-wicket victory with 12 overs to spare.
The one thing we did talk about from that wicket was we thought facing fast bowling was a lot more difficult than spin, so we just said that at some stage Queensland will have to bowl 20 overs of spin, so we're just trying to stay calm and get to that stage.
New signing Gurinder Sandhu was named Player of the Match after taking 2 for 14. It's a sport that's loved by millions around the world, but one that's struggled to take off here at home. But thanks to the dedication of its Tasmanian faithful, the baseball buzz is now building around the state.
If you're familiar with American sports, you'd be well aware of the phenomenon that is baseball's World Series.
Houston Astros are world champions!
And if Tasmania had its own unique equivalent, today's North versus South match was it.
I didn't sleep last night. It's been all nerves this morning driving down. It's been very exciting.
It's been around 30 years since the two sides of the state faced off as interest in the sport waned.
It's hard because it's not a conventional Australian sport. It is, it is such an American sport, and it'd be great if we had, more support from government. But at the moment, we're really just we're self-driven to begin with.
Not content with seeing it strike out, Baseball Tasmania has revitalised the game, growing the Southern League from 4 teams to 9 in recent years, with the north of the state steadily following suit.
It would be great to get to that point where, you're having regular games between, as I said, between Launceston teams and Hobart teams, and even teams out on the northwest coast and that. So that would be the dream situation.
It's hoped today's match becomes an annual event, but for now, Baseball Tasmania considers anyone deciding to pick up a glove, a bat and a ball for the first time a home run.
Making sure that we get the word about baseball out throughout Tasmania, and we get people and from juniors and that, and women interested in playing it as well.
Anyone can play. You don't have to be the most athletic, the fastest, the quickest, the best catcher, anything like that. Baseball's just a fun sport that anyone can get involved in.
And competitors have been gifted to another perfect day on the East Coast for the second and final day of the Freycinet Challenge. Hobart endurance athlete Alex Hunt was never in doubt in the open male category, beating out brother Robbie to claim back-to-back titles, with Alex's partner Georgia Nesbitt making it a couples clean sweep to win the open female title. The Short Motives Warriors were too good in the overall category, finishing more than 4 minutes ahead of their nearest rivals. The MCG was on the world stage last night as tens of millions of people watched the WWE Super Showdown. Former UFC champion Ronda Rousey had to beat 2 women to claim victory in her fight. Other wrestlers took time out for a cheeky Collingwood sledge.
When it seems like you're down, don't worry about it, because John Cena and Bobby Lashley, they're going to choke the same way Collingwood did last Saturday.
Oh, that's harsh. 70,000 fans were at the MCG. It was the biggest wrestling event ever held in Australia. How about that wrestler's dig at Collingwood, Rach? That's disgusting and too soon.
No more coverage for the wrestling, Tom. That's it.
No,
Thank you for that.
We've had a partly cloudy day with a little bit of wind. Hobart and Launceston both reached a top of 20 degrees. It was 16 in Burnie and 17 in Devonport. Temperatures were up to 5 degrees above average. Grove, Ouse and Strawn all hit 21 degrees. Friendly Beaches 20, Flinders Island 19, St Helens and Smithton both 17, and 16 degrees was the top for Low Head and King Island. Here we can see that low cloud over most of the state, and on the bigger picture, a weak trough sat over South Australia, sending cloud down our way. There was also a bit of cloud wrapping around a low pressure system off the New South Wales coast. Tomorrow, high pressure systems sit either side of Tasmania with a surface trough right in the middle. Variable winds 5 to 15 knots about the west and south, tending easterly in the north, seas to 1.5 metres. A possible late shower for Hobart tomorrow, 20 the top. Showers for Dover, 19, Ouse 21. Launceston, partly cloudy, 21 degrees. Devonport, fine, 18. Scottsdale, 19. A cloudy day for Burnie, 17, Strawn showers and 18, Stanley 17. St Helens partly cloudy, a top of 18, Swansea 21, Ross 20, and moderate to high UV across the state. Looking further ahead now to Tuesday, showers across the state contracting to the east and south coasts during the evening with possible snow down to 700 metres. Wednesday, fine apart from possible showers about the east coast and a little bit of morning frost. And Thursday, a frosty start but fine for most of the state, maybe a few showers for the east and south. Now let's take a look across the mainland tomorrow. A partly cloudy day for Perth and Adelaide, showers for Sydney and Brisbane. Melbourne, mostly sunny with a top of 26. And finally, here's a look at the current conditions across the state. Rach, I think I'm going to head outside and take advantage of this extra daylight.
Saving. Thank you for that, Brit. Well, before we go tonight, a video from India has set the internet alight today. A monkey behind the wheel of a bus full of people. The animal looks right at home at the controls as it steers the bus through the busy traffic. But not everyone is amused by the monkey business. The bus driver, being the human one, has been suspended. What could possibly go wrong? Well, that's all your news for now. Thanks for joining us. Have a great week. I'm Rachel Williams. Good night.